There's a right way and a wrong way to write blog post titles or headlines for articles. So let me explain what's going on here. So a lot of people sort of have this attitude that one size fits all. And so they learn one rule and then they duplicate that rule across everything they do. The challenge is that that rule does not apply in this case. So here's what happens. A lot of people take email subject lines and they take the rule that they apply to writing good email subject lines and they apply it to their blog posts and the articles they write. Well, a good headline in a blog post or an article is a different thing than the subject line you use in your emails. So an email subject line's purpose is to get people to open that email and read it. And so one of the things that oftentimes works in this is these clever subject lines, the things that leave some mystery in them, and people don't really know what's going on, but it sounds interesting, so they click it, so they read that email. That works great in email, with one small exception, and that is if they don't know who you are yet, it does not work yet because it looks like spam. But if they know you, those kinds of headlines, those kinds of subject lines work really great in email. But if you're writing an article or a blog post title, the main purpose of that title is to tell the search engines what that page is about. Because here's the thing that happens on email subject lines versus blog post titles. Email subject lines are going to get the vast majority of like 99 point something percent of all opens on that are going to happen within a few hours of sending it out. Blog posts and articles are exactly the opposite. The vast majority of opens and reads of that article are going to happen over time, over months, over years. I've got some that are literally decades old that are still getting read today. And so what ends up happening is that clever thing that gets people to open immediately, if you use that, what ends up happening is you don't get ranked high in the search engines. And so no one ever reads all that work that you did. Now, there's a reason why. So now I'm going to get technical here for just a minute, not too technical. So when you write a blog post and you put a title up there on the blog post, that title usually, unless you go around the system, usually gets what is called the title. It becomes the title tag on your article. And the title tag, and it'll also oftentimes become your only H1 on the page. Technical. Here's the important thing. Your title tag is the single most important information that you can communicate to the search engines on that page. Most of the communication happens from incoming links and all the other things that everyone else does. You have control over very few things. And one of those few things is what your title tag says. That's where you tell the search engines what this page is about. And so you need to do this right. Very short, your title tag should be designed to rank that article high on the search engines. So let me tell you what this means. What's the implication of what I just said? Number one, bad is clever titles. So hey, you really ought to read this. Not a good title for a blog post. 3 things I learned from my mom. Not a good blog title. And a second piece is clickbait titles, very related. In fact, the 2 examples I just read are both clickbait titles. But the thing about clever titles and clickbait titles is that oftentimes they leave a mystery up. They're not telling the people what this article is about. And so people click it because they're curious. The problem is in search engines, when your title tag is the single most important thing that you can communicate in just a few words on the page, that title tag needs to reflect what that page is about. So the good thing is a short, clear title that tells what this article is about. And ideally, and there is some debate on this. Ideally, it should contain a key phrase that you would like to rank for in the search engines. When you think about this, don't think about this as gaming the system or anything else like that. Think about this as, hey, search engines, this is what this article about, is this key phrase. That's why it's in the title tag. If you think about it that way, it becomes a lot easier to write that title. Now, you can write some cleverness into the title, but make sure that it reflects that key requirement of telling the search engines what this particular article is about. So, it all comes down to this one phrase, two phrases. Number one, email subject lines are not the same as blog post titles. Number two, be wise. Think about it from a long-term status of this is what we call signaling. So we're signaling to the search engines, this is what this article is about. And then, of course, the rest of the article supports that signal you just gave them. It's almost like giving a weird name. I'm not going to use that analogy. Okay, so signal appropriately by giving a clear, short title that ideally contains a key phrase that you want that article to rank for. It may or may not ever rank for that particular term. But if you go at it with that particular mindset, what you end up doing is writing a title that makes sense from the search engines. Now, some people will take what I just did and take it too far. And they'll say, oh, I'm going to do what we call keyword stuffing. I'm going to put as many keywords into that title as I possibly can. I've got 72 characters. I'm going to plow in every single keyword that I can think of that's related to this. Don't do that either. Just write a clear title that tells the search engine what that page is about. That's the best practice. We're not gaming. We're not trying to fool. We're not trying to get a leg up or anything else like that. We're just telling the search engines, hey, this is what this page is about. And you'll probably get better results as a result. All right? Got any questions? Let me know in the comments. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.